Hi friends, welcome to this tutorial on database migration using Flyway in a Spring Boot application. Whether you are building a new application or maintaining an existing one, managing your database schema changes effectively is crucial. In this video, we will explore how Flyway can help you achieve that with ease. Flyway is an open source database migration tool that makes it easy to manage your database schema as your application evolves. It integrates seamlessly with Spring Boot and supports a wide range of databases. Flyway works by running migration scripts that you create to modify your database schema over the time. This ensures that your database is always in sync with your application's code. Now, you might wonder, why should I use Flyway? Here are a few key scenarios where Flyway can be a game changer. Flyway automates the process of applying schema changes, whether you are adding new tables, altering existing one, or even deleting obsolete data structure. Flyway ensures these changes are applied in consistent and repeatable manner. Flyway enables you to version control your database schema just like your codebase. Each migration script is tagged with a version number, making it easy to track changes and roll back if necessary. When you are developing locally, testing on staging and deploying to production, Flyway ensures that your database schema is consistent across all environments. No more worrying about missing crucial migration step. Mistake happens and Flyway has a quick back. If you ever need to roll back a change, Flyway makes it straightforward to revert to a previous version of your schema. Flyway is not limited to just one database. It supports all the major relational databases, making it versatile for various projects. Now let's get started by building a new Spring Boot project from scratch. We will use Spring Initializer to quickly set up the project with the essentials. So first thing first, here head to the Spring Initializer from start.spring.io. Select the project as Maven, language is Java, and at the time of the recording, the latest Spring Boot version is 3.3.2. Change the metadata, change the group name, learn with iftikhar, artifact, let's say artifact name is Flyway, and the description is demo project for Spring Boot and Flyway. The packaging is jar and the Java version I am selecting is 17. Now it's time to add the dependencies. So we need to add Spring Data JPA, and then I'm using PostgreSQL. So we need to add the driver for PostgreSQL driver, and finally we need Flyway dependency. And that's all the dependency that we need. Now click on this generate button. It will generate the project and download it in your computer, and then open it in your favorite IDE. Our project is generated and downloaded in my machine. Let's open it in my IDE. Here I have opened the project in my IDE. I am using IntelliJ IDE as my IDE. Here you can see the files in my left sidebar. Let's doing anything else in the project. Let me show you my database. I am using PostgreSQL, and this IntelliJ IDE Ultimate version comes with a database tool which we can use as GUI tool for our database. Just click on this database icon on the right sidebar. Here is my database. This is library, and here now I don't have any table. Okay, so what we're going to do? Here I am going to do absolutely bare minimum here to connect to the database and actually fail. Let's say we'll have a book table. So create an entity for book. It's our entity, and the table name is books, and also it has two properties. First one is private string ISBN, and the second one is the title, and our ISBN is our ID. Now we need to create the constructor, setter and getter, and two string methods. So generate constructor, select the fields and OK. Next we need to create noargs constructor, generate constructor, select none, and we need to generate getter and setter, select all and OK. And finally we need to generate toString method. So generate to string, select the fields and OK. So our books entity is ready. It's time to create the repository. So creating a new Java class, make sure it is interface and name it book repository. Let's collapse the sidebar. It extends for card repository, and here we need to provide the model, the entity name, that is book, and the data type of the primary key, that is string. So that's enough for our repository. To know more about this repository and entity, I have a long Spring Data JPA tutorial on YouTube. You can check it in the description. Now let's head over to our Flyway application. There is our main method. Here I am going to run this application as command line and check the result in the console. To do that, in this class we need to declare a bin, public command line runner, and name it command line runner. Inject our book repository, name it repository, and returns some arguments. Here let's say find all books from the database. Repository find all, get all data from the database and iterate to all of the data for each and print the result. System dot out println. The next step is to connecting with the database. We need to configure the Spring Boot to connect our Postgres database. We can do this from main Java resources, our application.properties. Here we don't need this line. The first property we need, that is the URL of the database, that is Spring data source URL. This is for PostgreSQL, it is JDBC PostgreSQL : /localhost 5432, and the name of the database is library. Then need to provide the username, and that is Postgres. Then password, my password. Then we need to provide the driver class name. For PostgreSQL it is .PostgreSQL.driver, and I want to see the SQL, so show SQL property to true, and also want to see the SQL as a formatted. To do that we need another property, Spring JPA properties hibernate show SQL to true. And finally we need to provide the detail value, the detail to none. So spring.jpa hibernate.detail auto to Spring Data JPA uses a concept detail auto. It can be one of these properties: none, update, create, drop, or validate. If you choose create, it will create a database. It will create a database table when we start the application. If you choose create drop, it will create the table when we start the project and drop the table whenever we stop that application. And update will validate the data, and if there is any changes in the entity, it will update in that database. And I am going to choose this none. In the production scale, choosing in any other option can be dangerous and can be lead to data loss. Make sure always to choose none when you are using in the production. I am going to choose none. I am choosing none, that is because I don't want to rely on Spring Data JPA's automatic schema creation. I would like to use the Flyway. That's why I am choosing this none. And most of the case in the production level, you are going to choose that none. And as I have mentioned before, with the Flyway, you can change the version of the database over time, and it will help you to track the database, which is not possible if we choose create or create drop or update in this detail auto properties. Now let's run the project. Click on this play icon here to run the project. I'm running it. And it failed. It failed because currently we don't have any table in our database. If you check JDBC exception executing SQL, the relation books does not exist. That is because we don't have any books table in the database. Obviously, there a table is created, Flyway schema history, I will coming back it to later. Currently we don't have this books table here, that's why it's failing. We are going to use Flyway to create that books table. Now let's use our Flyway to create the books table. Let's close all of the tabs. If you check the project source, you can see there is a folder DB and the migration folder. Here we can put our Flyway scripts. Actually, Spring Initializer automatically generated this one. They're kind enough to do this for us. If you do not have this folder, say I don't have this folder, in that case we need to create that one. Say new directory DB. Inside this DB we need to create a new folder, migration. That's it. Our all of the database migration script must need to be in this migration folder. Now I'm going to create our first migration script. So right click, new, file. For Flyway migration scripts, there are a specific rule. At first we need to provide v followed by the number of the version. Let's say it is version 1, v1 followed by double underscore. This double underscore is crucial. If you do not provide the double underscore, it will not be picked up by Flyway. Then provide the name. Let's say it is initial book table.sql. This is our SQL file. So our first database migration SQL is ready, and what we are going to do here is to write our first script that will be run whenever we start the application. Here I am going to write script for creating a books table. Let's do this. Create table, name is books. It has column ISBN. Data type is varchar with 20 characters, not null. We also have title with varchar of 50 characters and also not null. And finally define our primary key. Our primary key is ISBN, and that's all for creating the book table. At this moment, this DB, we don't have any table here. Now let's run this project and check what happens. Click on this play icon to run the project. Here there is no error. Process finished with exit code 0, and it is also a Hibernate query for selecting the data from the database. And if you check the database, let's refresh it and minimize that console. There is our new books table is available now. It has 2 columns, ISBN and title. Now let's talk about this Flyway schema history table. Let's open this table. Here you can see it has couple of properties. Let's view in transpose mode. It has at this moment it has a single entry with the version 1. It has a description, and the type of this schema is SQL, and the script that it has run is v1 initial book table that we have created earlier, and it has also the checksum of the file, and also other properties like when it executed. So this Flyway schema history is the table in your database that uses by Flyway to track the database migrations. So if you choose any of these properties here, if you do any changes here after the Flyway script run, Flyway will detect that and it will eventually fail. I will show you that in a moment. Now let's do a second database migration. Let's insert a book in this books table. New file. This is version 2 double underscore insert book.sql. Collapse the sidebar. Here write a query to insert the book. Insert into books ISBN title. The values are for the book, let's say it is 978-0-262-04630-5, and the name is Introduction to Algorithm. Now again let's start the project. You can see after running this query we have now get the result books from the database. If you check the database, let's refresh it. If you check the database, here we have now the entry inside the database, and if you check Flyway schema history, here is another entry is added. It is entry 2. This is for inserting the book, and the checksum and the time when the script executed. So we get the idea, right? We have to do this in chronological order, v1, v2, then v3 and so on. Now let's say what happens if after running these migrations, after running this version 2 migration, what happens if we try to insert another books? Let's do this. Let's copy this one. Let's duplicate this insert statement again. So we want to insert another book with the similar name, similar ISBN. Actually, let's say change the ISBN number and run the script. If you see, this time it's failed. It is because migration checksum mismatch for migration version. What does it mean? If you check the migration history, Flyway schema history, here for this script it has a checksum. Whenever Flyway runs, it calculates the checksum of the migration file and store it in the schema history table. So when we have changed something in that file that we have run previously, the checksum of this file will be changed, and what happens is that the checksum of this file has changed to this one, and Flyway finds that it has already executed this script with this checksum, but now it has changed, so it's showing an error that it will not execute this migration script. It's a great safety feature for the Flyway so that you don't accidentally do any harm in the already executed migration. To do this new insert after this migration has ran, actually we need to create a separate migration script. So we can create a new file, v3, then insert another book.sql, and here provide the insert query, and this time run the project. You can see this time it was successful with exit code 0, and we have 2 results. If you check the database, this is our book table, and here you can find our 2 entry. And that's all about the Flyway for this tutorial. I do have another tutorial on Spring Data JPA, that is 2-hour long course. If you want to learn more about Spring Data JPA, check the video from the screen.